What is a content strategist? As marketing teams have been evolving, there have been numerous new jobs being posted and new roles that didn't exist even 10, 15, 20 years ago. As marketing has become more and more digital, certain roles are becoming more prevalent and more prominent. One of those roles is the content strategist. To really explain the value of a content strategist, let's go all the way back pre-internet to what an experience would be with any sort of B2C company. So you're walking down the street, you're window shopping, you're looking at different retail stores, what they have displayed in the window catches your eye, you walk in, you experience the rows and rows of items that they have in there. Maybe you have an interaction with the shopkeeper or clerk that works there. All of this gives you that ephemeral feeling, that understanding of who this company is, what this retail store is, what the brand really means. Now, fast forward to today, where you're really walking through the digital corridors of retail, and you need to get that experience from every single touch point of the brand. That's where the content strategist comes in. The key role of your content strategist is to give them that retail experience in every single digital touch point. So that can be anything from your website to all of your social media channels, to even partnerships with influencers or press. This is your brand experience. What makes that even more challenging is while you're meant to have a consistent brand experience, you still want to have an experience that's properly attuned to the platform it's on. Let me explain. TikTok has a very quick, very natural, very homegrown experience in different video contexts, and now with a lot of content to help their SEO. Instagram, on the other hand, is more of that higher aesthetic, beauty, aspirational feel. Now, your brand can be on both platforms. It needs to somehow feel like it's still the same cohesive brand, but it needs to fit in the TikTok world and the Instagram world and on your website and anywhere else it touches. And that's where the content strategist really comes into play. Let's break this down a little bit further. Under content, you have all of these different channels of where your brand needs to create content and what type of content it needs to create. On the strategy side, you really need to build out what the balance is between each of these content channels and how they work together to really emulate that experience that you would have had in a physical retail store. Who does a content strategist work with? So they should be collaborating with other marketers, with customer experience or customer service so they can hear directly what the target market wants, products to understand how to communicate better about the product or service that's being offered, senior leadership if there's a specific direction that they want to go in as a company. All in all, they need to bring all of that together to have a very cohesive, coherent story across all of these channels. But why do they have to have this story across all channels? You never actually really know anymore how that customer is going to have a first touch with your company, whether it's a referral, whether it's an ad, whether it's your actual website or a search engine. The referral actually, or influencers, is really interesting because if you've done a really solid job of being very clear about your brand and your content, your referrals will actually be repeating the same things that you have in various parts of your content, or even better, will be sharing your posts with other potential customers. What are your most critical tools as a content strategist? I'd say research, research, and research. And that can be a number of different ways. One, you need to research your target market. You really need to understand who that end user is and how you're going to relate to them as the brand. You can do really simple focus groups. I know larger focus groups and technical focus groups can be massive undertakings that can be very, very expensive. But I've actually found if you have some customers, just pick your top 10 to 15 customers, ask them for half an hour of their time, offer them some sort of compensation for it. Just jump on a Zoom, talk to them for 20 to 30 minutes, just hear what they have to say, what they like, what they don't like, where they'd like to see your brand go, what they'd like to see more of from your brand as content. And they've basically helped you build out your content strategy. What I have seen happen a lot of times with brands is they have that prime customer that is generating the most of their revenue. And then they have their ideal target customer, or the target customer they think is ideal. So the content strategy keeps focusing on trying to get this other customer in the door, which in reality is not their primary revenue driver. It's really important to understand who is actually coming into your retail space, looking around and going to the cash register to purchase. That's who you want to be talking to, and that's who you want to be supporting with whatever type of content they need. What are the different types of content? Well, content can come in a lot of different areas. One is you can have a lot of fun with voice and tone. Maybe you want to be very technical and accurate and focus more on like a science-backed brand where you're really educating people on all your latest innovations. Basically, really figuring out who you are to your customers and how you can best relate to them is a big part of content strategy. It's one of the first fundamental rules of content. When you really understand the brand and you have that experience, you go into the retail space, you purchase the product, you feel the product, the way the product looks, any commercials or social media, it all feels like you're within that world. That's what you're trying to create as a content strategist. Another really important tool for a content strategist is mapping out your competitive landscape. And one of the best ways I found to do this is with a chart. So what I like to do is have a vertical axis and a horizontal one and pick two main differentiators between all of your competitors. For example, more expensive would be towards the top, less expensive would be towards the bottom. Maybe on the horizontal axis, you'll have a lot of product variety versus very little product variety. And then you'd map out all of your competitors. Where do they all map out? Are there more competitors that have a lot of products and are very, very expensive, or very few products and less expensive, or anything in between? Then you need to map out where your brand fits. Your brand either will probably fit somewhere near a cluster of other brands where you can see what type of content they're creating and then try to tweak it so that it fits better in your brand, or differentiate yourself knowing what content works for that particular arena of the competitive landscape. Another possibility is that you are completely in a different area than most of your competitive landscape. At that point, you actually have to really define the content. You're going to have to do a lot more experimentation, really figure out what content works to hit that target market. And what's really interesting about being in that particular place is what a lot of marketers call the blue ocean. But really what it means is that you are a special use case, or you've somehow created a completely new industry within an industry. This all comes from a book called Blue Ocean Strategy that I'll link down in the comments. It's a book that a lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders, marketers like to refer to. A great example would be Cirque du Soleil. It stood out as a different type of circus experience than the rest of the circuses. Cirque du Soleil basically merged a more Broadway experience with a traditional circus experience, creating a blue ocean. Another important part of your job as a content strategist is going to be analytics and reporting. The only way to really know if your content strategy is working effectively is understand your analytics. Actively look at what KPIs you're trying to track to know if your content's making an impact. And at the end of the day, it's probably leads or revenue. So how do you become a content strategist? Well, there's a lot of traditional paths, either through marketing or journalism. Honestly, I'd say one of the best places to start is pick 5 brands that you absolutely love. Then pick 5 other people in your life that don't have the same tastes as you, don't have the same needs, are in a different demographic. Have them each tell you 5 brands that they absolutely relate to and love, or brands they absolutely can't stand because it gives them that strong visceral reaction. Analyze all of those brands. It's only 25 brands at that point, but analyze all of the things I mentioned. Try to look through analytics, try to figure out what their content strategy is, see how they're talking to their target market, identify who their target market is. That alone will teach you enough to build out content strategy for most brands. So that's basically what a content strategist is. If you're interested in becoming one, I highly recommend just doing a ton of trial and error and researching on your own. You'll start picking up how you define voice and tone. We also have a branding exercise on our site if you're interested, and I will link that below for anyone that wants to kind of see how we run a branding exercise, which is the first step in any of our content strategy. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any marketing questions, challenges, anything at all, feel free to leave it in the comments. And if you think we can help you grow your marketing, feel free to reach out at diacreative.com. Thanks so much.